Tatiana Arrington here for What the Film, and I am here with the star of Faceless After Dark, Jenna Kanell. How are you today?
I'm well, Tatiana. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk to you. I got to see Faceless After Dark at the premiere of the Atlanta Film Festival, and it was just such a treat. Were you there that night?
Yeah. Oh, at the Atlanta screening? The
Yes.
the first one. Yeah, I was at that one.
Okay. Okay. I must have missed you then. I don't know what I was doing.
I
But
mean, to be fair, it started pretty late, so you may have had to scoot after it ended. We did do a little Q&A sort of thing. We got pretty rowdy.
okay, yeah, yeah. I had to like race to something else, but I was glad I just even got to see the film because I was like, oh, this is so cool. I didn't know what to expect. And then I'm in it and I'm thinking one thing and then it just twists into something different. And I'm like,
Yes. We
okay,
love to hear it. We love to hear it. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. I love that.
how did you get
Thank you.
involved with the project? Of course, yeah.
So Raymond Wood, the director, and we've been friends for a long time. We've worked together for a long time. And an investor reached out to him years ago and he said basically, hey, if you write a film in which I can put a killer clown on the cover, I will finance it. And so Ray came to me and approached me with that idea. And I was pretty resistant at first because I'm the protagonist in the original Terrifier movie, and I don't want to spend my entire life running from clowns as much as I
Right.
have enjoyed the ones I have fought and run from. It's not, I can fight lots of other sorts of
Yeah.
foes. So I was resistant, but basically I approached Todd Jacobs, my co-writer of this film, and we said maybe there's a way we can do this that's subversive and that plays with genre tropes and that plays with people's expectations and has sort of a meta layer to it. And we took it as a challenge.
That's literally what I was going to say. I was like, okay, so not that the story is based on your life at all, but there's some there's some synergy there, just a little bit.
Yeah, you caught it. Yeah, it's definitely not meant to be autobiographical.
Right.
I'm not a murderer. I feel the need to say that. I'm not, sounds like I'm being defensive, which just makes it worse. But there are certainly aspects of the film that are definitely taken from my experiences working in genre, and they're definitely meant to be nods and little Easter eggs to some of the horror films I've been a part of for fans who are paying attention.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. And I feel like you've done so many horror films now, and this is what makes this one, would you say, so much different than all the other ones that you've been in?
That's a great question. I love that. I I mean, the big difference is that I wrote this one. And so there's sort of an ownership and an autonomy that I had in the creation of this one that I haven't necessarily had with some of
Yeah.
the other ones. Even though I'm proud of a lot of the films that I've done, there's something about, saying words that I helped bring off the page and even put on the page to begin with. There's something to be said about the empowerment that I derive from that. On top of that, uh, it's got a queer spin that previous horror films I've been a part of haven't really had. But it's not about that. It's just an element. It's got a lot of, like I was saying, about meta layers. It's got this sort of uh, a couple different running commentaries that a lot of the horror films I've done haven't chosen as their sort of subject matter,
Mhm.
and and yeah, I mean, I think it plays with different mediums of film within it, and that's unique. It's the one horror film I've been a part of where the antagonist starts out as the protagonist,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I have seen other movies that have done that, and I love them very much because they're always really fascinating, but they typically are done with men, and so
Right.
I thought it was a lot of fun to see what it's like to play someone with nothing to lose.
Yeah, what were some of your, when you guys were writing this story, what were, I mean, I know some of your life, right, was an inspiration. What were some of the other inspirations? Because like I got some like hard candy vibes, which I liked. I got some like
Ooh.
Nev Campbell energy too. So I just wanted to know like what were your inspos?
Thank you. I love both of those. The pitch that I originally gave was, what if Travis Bickle, the main character from Taxi Driver, were the protagonist of Promising Young Woman? That was one of my pitches.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
so Taxi Driver is a big one.
Mhm.
Promising Young Woman was another one. Uh, Miss 45, Joker, King of Comedy, um, that sort of vein of film. And I mean,
Yeah.
The Godfather is a very different movie from all of these. But that being said, it's a really interesting study in watching a character spends who starts out sort of
Mhm.
resisting fate and resisting what's calling to them, and who you watch slowly become a monster. So I
Right.
would categorize it with the others just in terms of a character study of Al Pacino's character.
And I mean, not even just your life too, but I also felt like it was very meta in terms of the industry and Hollywood, like throwing some gems out there. There were a lot of like, of course, actors and people in the industry in the audience who were like,
Yeah.
like, I get it. I resonate
Yeah.
with that.
I loved hearing the other filmmakers in the audience laughing at the editing sequence, like watching the like color correction wheels move and watching the different like transition effects and stuff like that. Like I definitely could hear specifically other filmmakers laughing at some of those jokes. And also it's sort of meant to nod to those folks in the way of, the and this is in the trailer too, of Bowie being told, well, just write what you know.
Mhm.
And I feel like everyone who makes any form of content is told that at one point or another.
Yes.
And it's in some ways is very true. I mean, obviously I did that and that's how the film happened. But at the same time, it's not always helpful advice because it implies that we all have access to the same resources, which is not at all the case.
Yes. I compare that to every family member. They always tell like a lot of Black actors have told me like their family members would be like, "Oh, have you called Tyler Perry? Like we can just get him on the phone."
I have friends who have said the same thing.
Like, yeah, I called him last week. He told me I could be in
Yeah,
this next show. Like it's not
yeah.
that simple.
Right. And also he is one of many Black creators. It's just like yeah, it's that's I've heard that before as well. It's not that simple, unfortunately.
This was a small thing, but I love the scene too because I feel like a lot of people who don't work in the industry, they really don't understand how we can turn it on and off. So I love that scene where you were like, "Hey," da, 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 and then you
A
went right back
cameo.
to being mad. I'm like, so many people just do not get how you can just like flip it like a switch. So that was just like a small thing for me where I was like, lots of people should see this movie.
Thank you. I'm sorry and also happy that that resonated with you because but it's I'm glad you understand it's not about being false. It's just about like you just sometimes have to turn
Yeah.
it on and then once you don't have to the mask sort of falls and it's not that you're lying when it's on, it's just a different side of you that you tap into.
Right. And I want to ask this because I mean, just because you work in the genre doesn't mean it's true, but how do you feel about the horror genre? Are you a fan?
I actually am. I mean,
Okay.
it's funny because I didn't choose to do a bunch of horror movies. It just kind of happened that way. But that being said, I have always loved genre film. I mean,
Yeah.
ever since I was too young to be watching this stuff, I have been.
No, same. I'm a really big fan too. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I didn't even, honestly, forgive me. I didn't even know it was a horror when I was going to see it. And then when I saw it on the big screen and I was like, oh wait, am I nervous? Oh God, I'm
I
scared. Like
love
it's gonna
that.
be
No,
fun.
that's better though. I love that. I mean, I think it's the type of movie that people really should go into as blind as possible. So I love that you had that experience because in a lot of ways I would describe it more as a thriller than as a horror.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who go in thinking it's going to be a typical horror are expecting a lot of blood and gore, and that's not the type of movie I
Yeah.
mean, there is some of that, but it's not the type of movie that this is. It's much more
Yeah.
psychological.
No, definitely, definitely. I've been trying to do that all year, honestly, where I just don't go into a film and I don't know anything about it. So I've been trying
Yes.
not to watch trailers and things like that. So
Yep.
I was definitely pleasantly surprised when I saw this film.
Good. I love hearing that. I mean, I do the same thing, and festivals are so great for that reason because you can just wander into something with no information at all.
Mhm.
It's fantastic. But even I mean, our trailer for anyone who, uh, you know, is curious is
Mhm.
purposefully omits a lot of things. So
Yeah.
you can watch the trailer for this and still be safe to go in blind, I think.
Is one of your favorite scenes to film?
one of my favorite scenes was the opening in that haunted house because we were filming in an actual haunted house, and I've never been in a haunted house while it's closed. And
Okay.
so it's kind of cool because you almost get like a private tour. Like in between setups, I would just kind of wander around into the different rooms, and it's in some ways much creepier when it's
That's
not
what I was
open.
gonna say. I was like, I feel like that's
Yeah.
scarier.
It is. Yeah, because no one's you can like hear, the camera team setting things up like several rooms over, but no one's around you and like no one's jumping out at you, but in a lot of ways you're still expecting them to. So it was cool to get access to a haunted house in that way. And it helped fuel and inspire the movie within a movie.
Yeah, no, that was a great opening. I love that. Because at first
Thank
I was
you.
like, well, what is going on? And then I'm like, ah, okay, like they're tricking me already. Like
I
I
love
I
it.
welcome that for sure. And um what would you, I mean, slight spoilers ahead, I would say. But what was your favorite like death in the movie?
Ooh. Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, I, this might be the most obvious answer, but like probably the politician,
Yeah.
the especially the like transition that we do with the banana where it ends up being like because everyone braces themselves in screenings, people will
Yeah.
like still react as though they're seeing the gore, even though they're not. That was probably my favorite just because it's so like I've seen so many movies where female presenting people are just have like I mean Terrifier is one of them where it have like unspeakably horrific degrading things done to them, and it's maybe we need it on the shoe on the other foot sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. And but what I liked about you think that's why I'm saying there's like so many twists and turns in this movie because you think all the deaths are going to be this one thing and then the last one is a twist and you're like,
Yes.
okay, I wasn't expecting this. And then there was this other part in the movie. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but you have the opportunity to kill someone and you don't. And I remember
Yes.
my friend was leaning over to me like, oh my gosh, she's going to kill him. She's going to kill him. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Why do you think in that moment she doesn't? Like, I guess there's like a genuine friendship there.
Yeah, well, first of all, I love that you two were having a dialogue about this because that's
I know we should have
makes
been
me so
quiet,
happy.
but we were talking.
No, I love it. I love it. I love that you couldn't resist. That's fantastic. No, I mean, some of it is that there is a genuine friendship there. Most of it is that it was important to me that even though Bowie's moral compass is clearly quite misguided and more unethical and more morally ambiguous as the movie goes on, at the same time, I it was important to me that Bowie as a character still does have a
Mhm.
moral compass
Yeah.
that they're operating by, that like that she still has certain rules that she plays by, even within this sort of unraveling that she's experiencing.
Hmm. Yeah. I enjoyed that too, because I mean, you think it's going to go one way and then it doesn't. And then there's also such a layered thing to his character too. He's like a Nepo baby and
Yeah.
the industry is no stranger to that. So, I mean, I'm just complimenting you through this entire interview, you and the
I'm
team.
not gonna fight you.
I'm
I'm
just
not
like,
gonna try to stop you.
here's why it was great. Here's why it was great.
I appreciate it. No, but I love hearing all the like it's so nice to hear that all these details like stuck with you and that you remember them and that they stuck out to you because that's obviously what one can only hope for when you're making something. And I appreciate you saying that about or pointing that out about the Ryan character
Mhm.
because both him and the girlfriend character like neither of them are supposed to be villains, you know.
Right.
They're not doing they're
Mhm.
both doing what they think they have to do and they both believe like ends justify the means. And I think that's true about every character in the film. I mean, obviously, I think Bowie is clearly ends up in dipping a toe in villain territory,
Mhm.
and you could argue that so did the people that she invites over. But the people at the beginning, even though she struggles to find a sense of community and struggles to feel seen among them, they're not villains. They're all just fighting their own fights in different ways.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a really good perspective. I'm glad like because I was able to pick up on that too. So even just knowing that that's what you guys intended as well is
Yeah.
good to know. With horror films, I feel like there's always this thing where something stupid has to happen or something like that doesn't make sense have
Yeah.
to happen. Like we're like yelling at the screen, girl, get out of the house,
Yeah.
or
Don't go in there. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. But I feel like Bowie didn't really have any of those moments. Was
Oh,
that,
what a compliment.
do you feel like do you kind of find that in horror movies as well? And did you guys kind of want to make sure that you had a smart character?
Yeah, it was really important to me and to Raymond Wood, the director, that this character was intelligent because I'm the same way. I'm like I scream at the
Yeah,
screen all the time, and especially when you can tell like it's a straight person writing for a queer person or like it's a white person writing for a global majority person when it's like I wouldn't do that, and
yeah,
like you making this character do that just shows that like you aren't a part of whatever community you're representing. So it was really important to us that like that there weren't, that Bowie was intelligent, and even though you're not necessarily supposed to continue rooting for her the entire
right.
time, you are supposed to question like, should I still be rooting for this person? That you're not that you still buy into what she's doing and you still believe it and it still feels truthful within the world that we've created. That was definitely important.
No, I mean that definitely happened. My friend leaned over to next to me at one point and was like, "Ugh, just kill them." I'm like, no, this isn't what's supposed to be happening.
Amazing. I love it.
And I know you, I mean, you were an actor in the film, so you didn't, work on like editing or lighting or anything, but what had you heard about what the lighting or, the
Hmm.
strobing effect, what that was going to be like? Because that just it just pulls you in and you're like, whoa, like you think you know when it's going to happen, and then there are some predictive moments and then it just doesn't. And it's not all over the place. It's very much like streamlined, but at the same time not predictable in all areas. So what had you heard about that before like finally seeing it for the first time?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question because you're right that that's something that's done in editing largely, like through like you're talking about the quick cuts and the different types
Yeah.
of footage and the sound design.
I mean, I know
And
it was in the script, but like just being able to see it and feel like,
yeah,
okay, this is what it's going to be for you.
yeah. Well, and what was in the script was, a fraction of what you see on screen. Like the
Okay.
in the script, we would basically just write like a series of disturbing imagery. Like and sometimes we would put examples of like, oh, like slaughterhouses, like
Hmm.
Reagan, like we would sometimes put examples of like genocide. Like we would put little examples on some sections, but
Okay.
not as much as was in there. Like he really ran with it. And I worry about his psyche afterwards with all the stuff he had to look up and find footage of. But yeah, but I had an idea of what it was going to look like, but was also surprised when I first saw a rough cut, and because there were certain parts of it that like there's a part where it's all these different flashing images of fan art, and like all of the eyes match up, and like that was really cool. Like there were all these sort of creative things that Ray did when he was editing it and putting it together that did surprise me, and when I watch it on a big screen with an audience, feel very visceral and feel like unsettling and uncomfortable, which is
Yeah,
totally the idea. And one of
definitely.
my favorite Easter eggs about those segments is that there are a couple spots where you see dick pics, and every one that you see is one I have actually received in real life.
Oh,
So, yeah. So for about a year, every time I got an unsolicited picture of somebody's genitals, I would just send it to Ray with no context and no warning.
I love that. As you should.
I
Because
mean, he's like,
why
what are they going to do? Sue us? Like, you have to come forth and admit it.
that is great. That is perfect. That's what we should all do now in the future.
It's, put your pain into your art, I suppose.
Really. Oh my gosh. I love that. That's incredible. That's the best Easter egg ever. Now I need to go back and like rewatch the film.
And now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
I love it. I love it. Oh man. Another thing that I feel like the horror genre, even though I love it, does, but I mean, America, we just do this in general. We love a sequel. We love a
Yes.
sequel. Uh,
Yes.
so what do you think? Could Faceless After Dark get a sequel?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you said, I'd be stupid to say no. But we have actually thought about it. I mean,
Really?
we
Okay.
do have ideas.
Okay.
So
I mean, the way it ended, I could see something for sure. For
yeah, if
sure.
the people want it, that is what the people will get. We've already talked about ideas of, we already know what we would call it, and we already know
Okay.
the sort of path that it would follow, and we have a vague sense of the story. We haven't put pen to paper and written it yet, but we definitely have a sense of if there is enough demand of what that will be and what that will look like.
Yeah. And I know you were also talking about making the character be intelligent, but they were also really strong too. Like,
Thank
they weren't a weak person, or they were going to use what they had and stuff. And I know you have like a lot of stunt work
you. Yeah.
experience as well. So you did your own stunts in the film?
Yes, yeah, I did. And in writing it, that was something that was it was a gift in a way because I could write sequences that I knew I'd be comfortable doing because
Right.
I'm familiar with the sort of experience I have in the stunt world. So that was definitely a blessing when we were writing. And that was I love stunt stuff. It's so much fun. I love action sequences. And Brent Bernhard was our stunt coordinator and he did a great job choreographing fun scenes
Mhm.
and making sure that we stayed safe because obviously that was very important to us, especially with there being a firearm in one scene.
Mhm.
We it was treated very, very seriously, and I'm really proud of how it was handled. It was very responsible.
Everything looked real though, I'll tell you that.
Yes, I know. Well, so when they're firing the gun into the ceiling, there was a there was someone up on a ledge a couple floors up dropping ceiling bits onto me. So like we had different fun little practical ways of operating that because we didn't want to use blanks. We didn't obviously the gun was I think we had like air canisters in there, but there was always a demonstration. There was
Yeah,
always, lots of safety meetings and protocol, but I'm glad it looked real. That's as long as it looks and feels brutal. Fantastic.
definitely. And are you from Atlanta?
Basically, yeah. So I wasn't born in Atlanta, but
Okay.
uh I did grow up here. And I've lived I lived in California for a while and I still travel a lot for work, which I'm very grateful to do,
Mhm.
but something keeps bringing me back here. But I did grow up here. So I guess I'm, you know,
No,
I
yeah.
don't know at what point it's official, but I spent enough time here that I'd like to say I'm from here. Like I made a point of saying Atlanta, depending on where you're gonna, put this, because normally I would say Atlanta because there's no second T.
No, no. I tell everybody Atlanta because it's just easier. Like,
Yeah,
it's just easier to say because that's the city that everybody knows. But I was just
yeah,
gonna highlight, like, it was so nice too. Like, if you are a part of this community, to see our fellow actors on
yeah.
screen, like that was also really nice. Just being like, oh yeah, like there were applauses and stuff. And um, I feel like people sometimes discredit the Atlanta actor, feel like they can't step up to the plate. So I mean, obviously you guys could have gotten actors from anywhere, but to really showcase like the homegrown talent here, um, I just wanted to shout that out as well because I thought that was cool.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, there's so much talent here. People sometimes do sleep on us, but I think they're starting to realize how much talent there is here. I mean, both in front of and behind the camera. I mean, the entire crew, the entire post team, every actor you see on camera, the entire thing was very homegrown, which is why it was so cool to play at the Atlanta Film Festival and have that kind of bookend our festival experience after playing all over the place for months. It felt really good to come home because there's so much talent here. Like there's no shortage of it. And it's such an amazing community too. Like
Mhm.
it's a very supportive community with a really thriving indie scene and a big budget scene and people that bounce between those two worlds. I mean, yeah, So it's like
Yeah.
it's I love seeing like our community thrive.
Same, same. It was, yeah, I was like, oh, look at that person, look at that. Like it's just
I
nice
love it.
it's just nice to see. So before I let you go, I just want to ask, Faceless After Dark, what would you say? is like the one reason people should check out this movie?
Ooh.
No
The
pressure.
one reason people should check out. Like, that's a tough question. I love it though.
Yeah,
Challenge accepted. The the one reason people should check out Faceless After Dark is because whatever you're expecting, it's not that.
very true. Very, I mean, great send off. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Jenna, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Squid Enthusiast. Squid Enthusiast, as in someone who's enthusiastic about cephalopods, because I am. They're so cool. And my last name is spelled Kanell. If you're looking for me, there are a couple pages pretending to be me or fan pages, but I'm the one with the squid in the username and the little picture of me sitting in a field.
Okay.
I think it'll be obvious which one is actually me in real life. But
You're moving up the ranks though. You got fan pages?
I guess so. I guess I've made it. I am honored. It is very flattering. It's even though it confuses people sometimes, it's a very flattering sort of, it's a lovely problem to have.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you can find out more on facelessafterdark.com. There's more information there and on my Instagram about the our limited theatrical release and then where we'll be playing on digital May 17th.
May 17th.
May
Can't wait
17th.
for the audiences to see it. I'm so excited. I'm probably gonna have to watch it again now just to catch everything I missed in that first.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
let me know what you pick up on that you find the second time. I'd love to hear it.
I will, I will. I'll shoot you like a DM. I'll go to your real page, not
Thank you. Or go to one of the fake pages and they'll be like, "What? What are you talking about? Who is this?"
right. Thank you so much, Jenna, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tatiana. It was so good to meet you. Thank you so much for
Likewise.
your time.
You too. Talk soon.